Hi, I'm Nate. Welcome to the Fright Flicks reaction review of Ash vs. Evil Dead. This is episode 3 of season 1 called Books from Beyond. Extra points right off the bat for the H.P. Lovecraft reference right there in the title. Sort of a mixed bag review this week. I felt this episode was a step down. The first two episodes, to me, each felt like not an episode of a television show, but a chunk of an amazing new Sam Raimi Evil Dead film. Episode 3 feels like what it is. This isn't a criticism, this is just an observation. Books from Beyond felt like an episode of a TV show. So although it was a step down from the first two, it's actually very heartening because now I'm starting to get a baseline for the show. And when the show takes a step down, when it takes its foot off the gas pedal for a minute, this is the result. And it's still a damn good half hour of television. I would say I don't watch a lot of half-hour comedies. This is probably the funniest half hour you're going to see all week. There were some really cool special effects this week. A couple of good fight scenes, not as much gore as we've been used to, but what really made this episode this week for me was the exchanges between Ash and Pablo. Their chemistry has been excellent. It's super funny. They've got great screen chemistry. Intentionally, it's Don Quixote and Sancho Panza. That's sort of on its face, and they play that dynamic, but it works so well. These two guys are great together, and their little exchanges really were the centerpiece and everything that made this episode as entertaining as it was. When Pablo says, "You know I'm not Mexican, right?" and Ash responds, "That's the spirit," I about lost it. And there were a lot of great one-liners this episode, great exchanges, a lot of good character work. Where the episode sort of fell down, as opposed to the first two, was the actual story of the episode. They had a lot to work with, going to this rare arcane bookshop to have the Necronomicon translated, open up a portal, summon a demon. It all makes sense in context, but I don't know, it just wasn't as much fun as I was expecting, especially after building up the last two episodes, this really eccentric, crazy bookshop owner who can translate the book. He was just sort of a meh character. But where it didn't work in the horror action vein that it has been delivering in spades the last couple of weeks, it really did turn up the funny. Couple of brief notes. I really liked the inclusion of what appeared to be a Kandarian dagger, which we last saw in Evil Dead 2, being wielded by Lucy Lawless, whose character got a lot more screen time this week, and tortured a Deadite. That was cool. Haven't seen that before. One step up from waterboarding. So I like where it's going with her character for sure. The makeup for the demon that was summoned, the design for that creature was really scary, and if it wasn't such an overtly comedic show, that summoning could have been an incredibly horrific scene in a film. But even as funny as it was, the makeup really stood out as being good, and I think Mike touched on this already in his review, definitely on his live tweet of the episode, but I definitely saw a brief glimmer of that black smoke that had come from the book around Kelly's mouth when she was setting up. So I don't know if she's been full-on possessed, but I definitely agree that she's got some sort of ancient evil residing inside her for now. And I guess that about sums up my thoughts on Books from Beyond, an episode that proves Ash vs. Evil Dead has legs, because even when it loses a step, it's still a damn entertaining show. I greatly look forward to next week, and I will bring you my thoughts on that. Hopefully, it's every episode of this show gets harder and harder to review because I just want to revert to pure fanboyism. Ash is so great. His chemistry with Pablo is so great. I'm just every half hour of the show is such an intense dose of entertainment. I mean, it's an hour's worth of enjoyment packed into 30 minutes every week. And it's hard to come up with new ways to heap praise on something. So part of me is kind of thankful that this episode was a step down, because I was running out of synonyms to say how awesome it was. We'll see what happens next week. Until then.